Greer is the name. Lifting out a boat called the Office, 36-foot steel cabin cruiser. Pre-start checks on the equipment before lifting the vessel. All the engine checks in the engine bay. Oil on the dipstick is right. Radiator, which is also right. Clean runner, any visual oil leaks or anything in it. Fuel capacity, which is on a fuel gauge on the console, but also a visual on that, which is quite sufficient. Also in here is a hydraulic tank, all fittings and all that, so it's just a visual inspection of that. The actual levels for the hydraulic oil on this machine are from a sight glass which is situated up the top of the travel lift, which is showing it's full enough. Other inspections I do on the travel lift prior to lifting on any vessels is just a visual inspection of the winches for any visible hydraulic leaks. The steering gear, any visible hydraulic leaks on any of there, on all the unions, the joint junction points. Visual inspection of tyres. The machine has a weekly maintenance check, which is also a pressure test of tyres and further in-depth stuff, which is actually going to be attached to the assessment as we do it. So that's basically all the machinery checks. Once that's done, which is just a visual on all of it, start the machine up and lower the slings, do a sling inspection of all the slings. Inspection, we've got a pre-start checklist which is done on all the machinery. That is checked off. On that it's included the engine hours and also the sling inspection as well, which will be done shortly. We're going to do the pre-start, the pre-lift hazard assessment and work out the communications between the operator and the dog. It will be the same for both Gary and myself. We're using the same vessel to lift out, so we're just going to do it as a unit together. Pre-start hazard would be
visual around the area where the travel lift has got to go for trip hazards, anything that could obstruct our operation, and then we'll go down. We've spoken to the owner where the slings and the bulkheads and everything are, and
the owner has filled in all the required paperwork prior to lifting out, so I've cited insurances, all the details of works that he's actually looking at undertaking while the vessel is out, so we know exactly what's going on, so when we do actually stand it, it is going to be usable for what he's required to do. Also, he's requiring a hydro blast, which we won't be showing but will be achieved during the process as well. So yeah, we'll just have a quick visual around the place to see what's going on.
And also we we have signals for when we actually lift the vessel. 4 fingers is to lift all 4 slings up at the same time. 2 fingers off to the side is to lift one side of the boat up, or 2 for the other side. And if you need to slew the boat in the slings, that is one way or the other, like that, just with a hand signal.
And raise the bow of the stern of the boat is just basically 2 slings to the up,
or 2 slings at the back. And at all times the dogger must be in visual sight of the driver, so he can see all the instructions that are given. And obviously if you need to stop, it is just hand straight up, and the driver stops as soon as he sees that signal. And if there's a problem, you need to communicate to rectify whatever problem has arisen.
Once the vessel has been lifted out of the water, the usual signal for travel is just wheel forward, stop is stop, and wheel back is go the other way. So that's their basic communications. In this situation where we lift vessels here, sometimes visual contact between the dogger and the operator is difficult, so we use also handheld radios for communications between each other verbally.
And also when we're travelling with the travel lift, that is to turn the wheels one way, or that to turn the wheels the other way, as to guiding over a cradle, which will be demonstrated in further video as we go to put it over the cradle. So we'll now lift the slings up and proceed to lift the vessel out of the water.
Prior to lifting the vessel out of the water, the dogman and operator will actually go down and have a visual inspection of the boat, just to reaffirm where they're going to actually lift the slings and make sure everything's going to operate fairly well. So we'll just go down and have a quick look at the boat now before we go down. The vessel is a twin screw steel cabin cruiser. Full bulkhead front through the vessel position, so the front sling will be located in that vicinity. And also located through the back of the wheelhouse cabin area, where there is also another full bulkhead through. It's twin screw V-drive motors, so yeah, should be fairly well alright. We also haven't got any underwater photos of this vessel, so we've just inspected the inside of the boat to work everything out. Photos will be taken of the vessel in the slings on this tent, because it is a local boat and will be coming out here more than likely all the time.
And the other thing we also do is check over the boat just to make sure that there's no damage prior to us lifting it, as a record of our own safety and everything like that. Make sure that the boat is quite structurally sound before we do actually lift.
Yep, that's it. Start the machine, it's a key start. We've got hour meter, load cells for the slings for the lifting, bulk gauge, temperature, pressure, and also the fuel gauge, which is on here. This is a high range and a low range on both lifting and travel, which is just a switch. Steering, which is a toggle switch, and foot accelerator. Startup is just fairly simple. After the pre-start checks have been done, you can just turn up, once everything's up to operating temperatures and pressures, you lower the slings down and do a complete temporary swing. So just lower the slings. On all those. This is a 6-sling configuration, but can go back to 1 on depending on the weight of the vessel that you're lifting out. The weight of the vessel we're lifting out is approximately 13 tonne, so we've got 2 slings on, which is equivalent. They're a 20-tonne sling each capacity, so it's well within range. So I'll just spread the slings out and check them over prior to using them. checks on the sling are in the shackles. Make sure there's no wear points in any of the shackles. Make sure the safety certificate is actually on the sling and make sure it is correct for the weight application you're using. Just a visual inspection of all slings. Make sure there's no wear points, cuts, abrasions in them. The slings are actually inspected independently and assessed on a 3-monthly basis. And yeah, so you just check the whole lot of them. You check the joining points, make sure there's no wear points on them. The joining pins. Also need to be checked to make sure they're not bent, buckled, out of shape or any way. And also the R-clips which you use, make sure that they will actually stay in, there's not stretched, so they will fall out easy enough. Yeah, so each one of the slings is checked that way and then joined up together again. There's also keel covers and chine covers on the slings to prevent any cuts from lifting vessels out. The condition of them is neither here nor there really. Basically it's just a matter of checking them out. The sheaves on each one of the cars need to be inspected and cables. They get a daily check on each one of them, and also it gets a monthly inspection at the top of the travel lift by staff here. Get up, everything is greased, maintained up there, and a visual inspection on the whole thing. Yeah, so once that is done, all the slings are checked, joined together, and basically it's ready for operations to be lifting out the boat after the pre-start hazard checklist has been completed with your dogman. Along and inspect every one of the slings that will be used for this lifting operation, join them up and make sure that everything is quite safe to lift the vessel. Joining pins and the shackles have also been inspected independently, as we do it at each individual lift that we do. Once all the inspections have been done, you can raise the slings back up prior to lifting the boat out of the water. Have my attempt at raising the vessel out of the water now. Gary's going to act as the dogman for this lift, and I'm just basically going to start the machine back out onto the travel lift jetty to lift the vessel out of the water. Verbal for this operation will be hard to be heard because of the engine noise of the motor, so if you can't hear us, then sorry. Okay, so I'll just raise the slings and move out to the jetty now. Doing here is just getting the keel pad in the centre of the sling, so when the keel lands it doesn't do any damage to the slings. And the centre keel covers are also lead weighted, so that will allow the slings to sink underneath the vessel as we go to lift it.
tightly grab the vessel with the sling. We get the boat plumbed up properly before we actually start lifting right up. I'll give the signal. Visual as we've lifted it to make sure that the springs are all in a good safe position to make sure we continue to lift. The boat has been lifted, it's always lifted in a low range. As we can see, make sure it's not coming up nice and plumb. Stopping because we're at the right height to start travelling out. Just double check and make sure the boat's quite plumb. It needs to go across just a little bit. Then I'll give the signal to come back out.
keel blocks. We're going to move the cradle arms in on the side to stabilise the boat from there. We can then go around and couple check all the stands again and unhook the slings and manoeuvre away from the vessel. This is just a pulling device that we've got for pulling the anchors out. Save on the back. Yeah, mate. Prior to lifting the vessel, we obtained permission from the office that all the invoices had been paid, everything had been finalised, the owner was content with the work, and then we lifted it to return it to the water for the owner. That's about it. washed off, ready for the next lift, and any inspections on the travel lift are completed again prior to the next lift. On completion of the lift, we do a visual inspection of all the slings, the lifting equipment, make sure there's been no damage occurred during the activity of putting them back into the water. Then we do a complete clean down of washdown bay, standing site, put all the equipment away in preparation for the next lift.